Hello everyone, welcome to another one of my table tennis videos. This one is particularly a topic that I feel quite strongly about for table tennis players who are getting more serious about their development, players that are looking at different training options, that are really investing in improving their game, especially tournament players who might be trying to make national teams or compete at higher levels in national tournaments. And the topic of my video is why I believe that type of player has to go to China at least one time in their table tennis career. Now, obviously, during my time playing and training, I was able to go to China a number of times to various different cities, various different environments. The great thing about playing table tennis in China is kind of the heart of table tennis. It's extremely popular over there. And actually, you can visit China in a lot of different capacities for table tennis. You don't necessarily have to be in that national level or training to be in a national team. You can take trips if you're a lower level developing player, or if you're an early tournament player. There's a lot of different levels that you can play table tennis at in China. Obviously, you can go there and experience playing outside in parks. And there's a very social aspect of it, which is really fun. It's a great way to meet new people who are passionate about table tennis. You'll see a lot of table tennis vlogs and kind of shared experiences of players going and playing in parks outside. It's a very different environment to a lot of different countries. But then also there are social places that you can go and play where the players are still very competitive. So you can get a lot of good matches. I went to some places where I played with older table tennis players that I found really tricky, particularly when I went to Guangzhou and in the south of China. You'll come up against a lot of players that have just been grinding at table tennis for decades, and they're so tricky and so cunning. A lot of them have short and long pips. Some of them don't necessarily serve legally, which makes it even more challenging. But there's a huge mix of styles across the board through the different kind of segments of table tennis demographics that you can go into. But above that, obviously, there are a lot of professional training centers. There are, high school training centers, university centers, city training centers, province centers, and then there are even bigger kind of home training centers where the national team might go to train. I think the main reason why I think it's important for people to experience this environment is because if you're trying to be good at a sport, you need to experience the environment that the very best develop in and they train in. And this is also something that's useful for developing coaches as well. A lot of the stuff that I learned that helped me become a more rounded coach was from experiencing different countries and their approach to learning table tennis and developing players. So obviously, when I went to China, played in a number of different places. I went to Jiangding, which was the national training base. Had really great practice sessions there, and you can get really good training. If you want volume of training at a great level, China is a superb place to go. There are places that you can go where you can do 6 hours of training a day, and you can do more on top of that if you really want to. They're very dedicated players. There's a lot of training partners available. They, in most cases, will have players that are at your level and above your level. So the level of training can often be really, really good. The first time that I went there and I played in China, it was 6 hours a day. Half of every day was multi-ball, and half of it was table drills. And you would show up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, and you would only find out then, depending on which rows you were in the hall, whether you were doing multi-ball or whether you were training table drills. So you had to wake up at the beginning of every day. You had to get up and be fresh. You had to eat. You had to be very disciplined about energy management and being sharp and focused all the time, because you literally could show up to the training hall and then do your warm-up and then be in a 3-hour multi-ball session. I went there in the summer, so it was unbelievably hot, and doing those multi-ball sessions was just grueling. But it's fantastic for your game. Now, I would say when you go to China, in a lot of scenarios, you may not get good guidance if you're a foreigner. You may not get good coaching unless you're willing to pay extra, or you have a connection that will help you organize some more investment from the coaches there. For the most part, when you go there, you're really going for the training and the experience. I do think it can be tough if you're looking for guidance and further developing your game. It can be a little challenging. So this is why I kind of said it's more suited for national team players and players that have an idea of what they're doing and what their plan is and how to give themselves feedback through that training process. But yeah, ultimately, the best players in the world come from this environment, and if you want to be a great table tennis player, you need to have a better understanding of what that environment looks like. Now, what I would say is you can come away from that trip with two mentalities. You can either come away from it with a lot of doubt of like, okay, there are D and E level players in China that are better than me. Why am I bothering? Right? Like, what's the point? Like, I'm not even close to a good level in China. Or you can come out of it inspired, and you can say, okay, I understand now. I understand what they're doing that's different to what I'm doing now. I understand how I can improve what I'm doing in order to better my game. And I think you need to go in with the perspective that you know you're not going to be the best player there. It is going to be challenging. There are going to be a lot of players that are better than you. And maybe you don't have the same stamina as them in order to train well. Maybe you struggle with the training. I think you need to accept that going into it and just really focus on pushing yourself as hard as you can, trying to get the absolute most out of it. Because at the end of the day, after you go there, the real value comes in how you change your training and your approach to the game after being involved in that experience. And yeah, my trips to China and my training in China were immensely helpful. I learned so much. I mean, for example, when you're doing 3 hours of multi-ball a day, you learn a lot about how important it is to be very efficient with your technique, how important it is to be efficient with your weight transfer. You do 3 hours of multi-ball a day, and I can guarantee you will not go out there swinging and trying to hit the ball like crazy, because you will just burn energy and you will fizzle out so quickly. And their table tennis players have been doing this for years and years and years, and you can see when they do multi-ball, they do not waste one sliver of energy that is not needed to be wasted in a shot. And this, I feel, is why they are so technically efficient. So that was a really important lesson for me. It was really, really eye-opening. My goal going in there the first time I went there was, I'm going to try and get through every box of multi-ball that I do without taking any breaks. And as I kind of went through that journey over the first 2 weeks that I was there, I did find that I just got more efficient. My weight transfer really improved to take the stress away from my hands and my arms and the shots that I was making. And you just learn how to sustain a good quality 70 to 80% pace that can get you through a box of multi-ball, and that can really strengthen your muscle memory and the kind of neuron message sending speed to your muscles through the repetition. and it just really helps you lock in a lot of technical efficiency. So that's kind of a prime example of one thing that I learned when I was there. And yeah, I just think that anyone who's serious about the game, at least one time, go to China. Find somewhere to play that's at a reasonable standard. Can be a little bit hard to find connections to get to the right places, but I can tell you right now, it is worth it. On top of the fact that the food there is amazing, and I love Chinese food. It's my favorite type of food in the world. And the people are great, and they're so passionate about table tennis. No matter where you go, you will find people who just love the sport. And it's a really great experience. And I've been back there multiple times, and I hope to continue going back there. But yeah, the gist of my message is, if you are serious about table tennis, at least once in your career, make a trip to China, see it for yourself, get that experience. I'm going to be making a lot more content, so please subscribe to me here on YouTube, and also you can follow me on all my platforms at MHTableTennis.